I finished playing football around 2014, 2015, and that's when I was about 297 pounds was my peak. What really changed it for me was playing soccer with my son. I couldn't keep up. I was like, man, I got to change something. And I was just always so low on energy that I was like, man, I need another supplement. And I don't even know what supplement I was looking for. I just knew I needed one. I don't know how I stumbled upon keto, but I did. I love keto for tons of reasons, just low hunger, low cravings. So that's kind of how the method came about, where I was like, well, what if you could lose weight fast and keep your cravings low, keep your hunger low, but then what if you can also add some carbs back in? And so what we try to do is, okay, instead of having the enriched stuff, let's just have the whole food stuff. Instead of, buying all the frozen food, let's try to make it as much home-based food as we can. That gives you a winning chance.
And we are live. Joe, how are you, sir?
I am good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing dandy. So real quick, to give the listeners some context here, we got connected through another podcast guest I had a while back, Joe.
Yeah.
And he and I kidded off pretty good. We were talking about metabolism and everything like that. And then you and I got linked up. And then come to find out about 30 seconds ago before I hit record, you've been following along with my stuff since like the very beginning. So OG status here for sure, man. So I'm excited to peel the curtain back and dive deeper into your world, brother.
Yeah. Happy to be here, man. And excited to dive in.
So Keto Diet Lifestyle is your handle on all the social interwebs, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Keto lifestyle diet is kind of what I go for.
And you're doing coaching as well, right?
Correct. Yes.
So when did you get into the coaching game, man? When did that start?
Yeah. So I played football, got super fat. I was a defensive lineman, got up to about 300 pounds and kind of just fell into coaching by accident. Like I didn't go to school. Like I was a business management major. And the lady was like, hey, well, if you want to graduate, you got to get these, you got to do like, what do they call it? An internship. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, well, what do you like to do? I was like, I like to work out. And she's like, that's awesome. You said that. There's this opening at Anytime Fitness. You can get your internship credits done and you can get paid to do it. Talk about a deal. But I was already kind of getting into the whole weight loss thing. You know, I stopped eating like a butthead and, because I was eating like a football player and I probably had to stop doing that. And I lost some weight initially. And, then I just kind of plateaued and was looking online, searching the interwebs. And I was just always so low on energy that I was like, man, I need another supplement. And I don't even know what supplement I was looking for. I just knew I needed one. And that's kind of, I tell people to this day, I don't know how I stumbled upon keto, but I did. And I was like, well, that sounds like something that I want to do. And of course, most people tell you you're going to get ketoacidosis. It's going to kill you. What are you doing? The saturated fat, you're going to clog all your arteries. But I was like, I am so desperate. I'm going to do it. Well, fast forward, I get into the gym stuff, start coaching people on what helped me, which was keto. Didn't really know kind of what I was doing. I just knew the basic macro ratios. And then they started seeing success. And the next thing I know, they're bringing their friends in because of the success that they're having. And then it just by accident kind of rolled into that. And then, ended up opening my own gym, owned it for 6 years, shut it down about 2 years ago. But that's the method that I used is people would come in, I'd get them on the keto diet and they would have a ton of success. And that's kind of how I got into it.
When was it that you were your heaviest? Like, give me some time frames here.
So I finished playing football around 2014, 2015. And that's when I was about 297 pounds was my peak. And what really changed it for me was playing soccer with my son. I couldn't keep up. And that was new for me because I'd always been an athlete. And I was like, man, I got to change something, So got into the whole nutrition thing. But around 2015 was when I did it. And then when I started keto, it wasn't too long after that. I would say maybe right at 2015, 2016. And I just did what the internet said, which was 75% fat, 20% protein, the whole ratio thing.
It's kind of crazy, man, because I'm trying to rewind the clock back to when I started, and I'm pretty sure I started, I know I did two shows in 2014. This was with like a bro diet, and then I'm pretty sure I started doing carb backloading right after that, and then I started doing keto after that. But I don't remember if it was the end of 2014 or the beginning of 2015. I launched Keto Savage in 2016.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, you mentioned before we started recording that you were following along with Jason Whitrock, had trained with him. And he was one of the OGs too. I mean, we were all putting out all this content. I started
Yeah.
vlogging at that same time frame. So it's cool for me to talk to people that like remember the original footage and stuff, because back then, man, there weren't any products on keto in the market. There wasn't really that many creators out there. Like that was
Exactly.
like the pristine, in it for the right reasons, in it because it helped us personally. We just wanted to share the information, and now it's kind of gotten all convoluted. But it's cool for me to talk to people that were there in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it when there wasn't all these products, and like I ended up, long story short, ended up hiring Jason Whitrock, and he was my coach for a while, and coached me through that initial process, got me some extra results, and then we just became really good friends after that. But yeah, man, it was easy back then because you could just
Mhm.
tell someone like, here's the ratios, but now they're like, well, this one says 1 gram net carb. I'm like, it's a whole cake. Like,
Mhm.
you can't do that. Like, there's still carbs in there, and having to explain that to people is really tough in today's world. But yeah, I got in it when it was still just the normal basic stuff, and then slowly but surely all these products started getting added in.
Yeah, for sure, man. And when you started the gym, that was after you'd already been doing keto for a while, right?
Yeah, I'd been doing it for I would say probably a year and some change, because I opened my gym in 20 it's like 2017, 2018. So about 2 years almost was when I started losing my weight. So I went from, essentially, the journey looked like going from eating like crap to just no carb, sucking on energy. Like, I was just miserable. And then that's when I found keto. And then from there is kind of when I lost a majority of my weight and got down to my lowest of lows.
Just kind of totally random tangent here, but what were you studying for? You said you were going to school for business management. What was your idea or trajectory at that point? Like, where did you think you were going to be?
So I thought I was going to be a banker.
Yeah,
I've been playing since I was playing ball. We had like a banquet, and I sat next to this guy who worked at, I think it was, I don't know if it's still around, but it was Fidelity Bank at the time, which I think they sold and there's something else now. And he's like, yeah, man, if I guess I said the right words or he liked me for some reason, he's like, hey, tell you what, finish your degree and we'll get you in commercial banking, which is big bucks, right? Like, not being a teller, but commercial banking. He's like, our biggest clients are Target and all these big stores, and you'll be overseeing them. He's like, we'll train you up, we'll do that. So I'm super pumped. I'm like, oh, money. But and then so that's what I thought I was gonna do. And I just fell in love with seeing people transform, and people always tell me I'm insane. And you operate a business. Sometimes you feel like you are insane because you're like, man, maybe I should have gone that route and made the big bucks first and then started my business. But I think everything kind of happens for a reason. But that's the route that I was taking. I thought I was gonna be a banker.
and what year did you graduate college?
I didn't actually graduate, but I dropped. I guess I dropped out. Dropped out right when I opened my gym. Is kind of when I stopped going. I finished up my courses, and my grandpa, he's a big college guy, and he still gives me crap because I was 15 credits within graduating, which is
Yeah,
like 1 year at the most. He's like, you were right there. You should have just finished it, and But I followed my passion.
I got all kinds of respect for that, man. It's funny because we got a lot more in common. I went to school for business, finance, administration as well, and I thought I was going to be in the stock market. Like I went, all my majors were like, finance, stocks, all that stuff, and then I took a commercial banking class, and I hated it, man. Like my professor was totally unenthused, and the class was boring. So commercial banking was not my calling, but I definitely thought I was going to be like on Wall Street or something.
Yeah.
And I went to one of those career fairs, got a job at the railroad because of the business degree. I graduated in 14, and I did that for like 2.5 years, and I just quit that to start my own business. And all of my family is like super big on education too, like formal education. I'm all for education, but like they're the traditional, conventional, go to school kind
Exactly.
of deal.
Yep.
And Man, I am so grateful that I didn't let that trajectory, plan the outcome of my life, because I got a lot more stress now, but I'm doing what I love every single day. And I feel like when you're in the fitness space for the right reason and you're helping people transform and you're just like getting constant feedback as to how much more vitality they have in life, like what can be more rewarding than that?
That's exactly what it is. And every time I go visit my family, because they're in California, I'm in Arkansas now. I think, yeah, where you live next to me, kind of.
Where in Arkansas are you?
Bentonville.
Yeah, man, we got to like link up and train because I'm
Yeah,
in I'm just outside of Fayetteville. So we're practically, 40 minutes apart from one
I
another.
go eat breakfast over there all the time. So,
Yeah.
but
We should be
yeah.
doing this podcast in person, not over remote.
Well, I think you were gonna have a baby. Did you already have your baby?
Do this month, sometime this
Okay.
month. So baby's on the horizon.
Yeah, I know that we were kind of waiting for that. So, but yeah, we can always do like a re-up or catch a workout or whatever it is. But
For sure.
yeah, every time I go visit my family, my grandpa, like I'll talk to him about my business stress, and because I mean, in business there's highs and then there's lows, and you're kind of like navigating it, and you feel on top of the world, then you feel like a piece of crap, and then that's when the parent voice comes in, where you hear your grandparents. He's like, you should have just finished. Well, every time I go, he still like, I'm like, yeah, this is going on and this is what I've discovered or whatever. He's like, well, you should have got your degree, huh?
Hmm.
I'm like,
I don't know
sometimes
if
I
that
feel
ever
that way.
stops, man. I don't know if that ever stops. I feel like my folks, they're finally to the point where like they don't hold me quitting the corporate gig over my head anymore. Thank goodness. But yeah, man, for like several years afterwards, when I branched out and started my own business, they were just down. Like they were always supportive, but you could just tell there was this like underlying level of doubt.
Mhm.
And man, like when you follow your heart of hearts and you just know in your innermost being what's true, it's like you just got to double down on that, because even if it fails, I feel like not doing it and being filled with the regret of not knowing would hurt worse than the failure in the moment.
100%. And that's kind of how I felt. Like I didn't know when I went into the gym business, I didn't even know I could make money in it. I linked up with someone who, I don't know if you've ever heard of Fitness Business Summit. But I went to that event, and we stayed at this super nice hotel. Like, well, I didn't. I stayed on it was in San Diego. I stayed on the border because that's the only hotel that I could afford, and I had to drive 40 minutes to and from the event every day. Well, even longer because of traffic in California. But I get in there. It's just this beautiful hotel, and it's filled, like the whole event is fitness people, and I'm
Hmm.
like, fitness people can afford to stay in a hotel like this? Like, I was just doing it because I loved watching people transform, and now like there's actually money involved, and you can actually make a career out of it. Sign me up. And that's kind of what made me believe in it even more. Is I'm like, oh, not only can I do this and follow my passion, but I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I could probably do this and have a corporate job or a 9 to 5, but now it's like, oh, I can actually make real money with this too.
Totally. So what was your gym structured like? Like how'd you have that set up?
So it was a franchise. It's called Fit Body Boot Camp, and it's basically HIIT training. We do metabolic conditioning. We do weights. Every location was kind of formatted a little differently at the time. I think now they've kind of honed in a little bit and made it more structured. But at the time, you kind of just did it however you did it. So it was just high interval training and
Like in a class setting?
yeah, group training. Group training.
Nice. And you did that for how many years, you said?
I did it for 6. And then I started my online component in 2021 was when I started going online. Nutrition was always my real passion because that's what helped me change the most. But at the time, there wasn't really, at least that I noticed, an online space to do things. Like everything was still kind of in person. And so I didn't know that was even available. And then in 2021, I kind of was like, oh man, I should start taking what I know online and see what I can do. And
That
that's
was right
kind
after
of,
the pandemic too, so everybody was kind of
and
like
then there was the pandemic, so it made
online.
you just to think even more about it. But at the time, it was just, oh well, this has always been my passion, anyways. Let me go all in on that and see what happens. And that's kind of how it spiraled out. Because I'd already been doing the nutrition in person, but it was like my mission was always to get closer to my son or have the ability to see him more often because him and his mom's we split up, and so I'm like, man, if I'm working 4 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night every night, I can't really go see him. And every time, it always seemed, maybe it's just I was bad at hiring people, but every time I would leave, something would break or something would go wrong. And it's like, man, I can't even go visit because every time I come back, I got to put out 10 different fires. And that's kind of what was pushing me more and more towards the online space.
So you're doing online exclusively now, and you've since sold the gym.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, the online place is cool, man. Like, there's a lot of noise online, but you're able to have a much broader reach, obviously. But like nutritionally speaking, online space is crazy, man. Like, there's all this volatility, and everybody's got an opinion, and everyone's ruthless online. Like,
Yes.
people don't talk to one another like human beings online, which is frustrating.
Not anymore, man. And that's kind of what's it's horrible. It's like if you want to go viral, you just got to be a butthole, and you
Yeah.
got to sit there and just degrade every little thing. And I'm sure you see it on social media all the time. I've kind of stopped spending so much time on it because maybe it's just my algorithm, but that's all you would see is, oh, this, like, people are reacting, right? They're reacting to what
Mhm.
someone's saying, and they're just saying how dumb it is. And I'm like, what? Like, why is this what gets the clicks? But then you have these coaches who are genuinely trying to help people and not hate on anybody else. And yet they're the ones with the lowest reach.
Yeah. I'm a post and ghost kind of guy, man. Like, I got something to say, I'll put it out there, but then like I just don't look at it, don't really engage with the comments because like there's this big sugar diet thing going on right now. Have you seen that?
I think I saw your, was it a post of yours that you recently talked about it where you were breaking it down?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like crazy viral, like that the diet itself. And I made like a not even a reaction video, not a derogatory video at all, just pretty much like my reason for not doing it. And like the comments, I mean, it's crazy. You got the people that are hardcore sugar dieters, like just throwing all kinds of shade. And it's like, look, I'm not throwing any shade at you. This is just my reason for doing what I'm doing. It doesn't require any negative response in return. If it's just people have too much time on their hands, what it boils down to, I think.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you have so much time to sit there and hate on somebody? But yeah, I was actually reading it. I was at the airport and I saw the post and I was like, oh, this is gonna ruffle some feathers because people are so quick to go towards it, and then they'll start hating on. Yeah, I did the carnivore diet and it didn't work for me, and I went full sugar, and that's the next coming of Jesus. And I'm just like, man, you flip flop so easy. I have a question for you though.
Yeah.
What made you start Keto Brick? Because I think you were coaching for a while, right? And then you kind of transitioned to doing Keto Brick. So what was that? What's that story?
Yeah, so I started coaching. I launched my Keto Savage coaching business on July 1st of 2016. And, it grew super slowly, just organically. I didn't really have a big following. Like, I just started everything at that point. So I started the podcast, the Instagram account, like everything was just from that point on. And it grew steadily, but I was working like 4 jobs at the time to make ends meet. Like, I was a front desk clerk at a gym. I was doing like remote accounting work. I was landscaping, just random stuff after I quit that corporate gig. And then I was making the keto bricks for my own personal consumption because back then, like you said, there wasn't any products out there at the time.
Yeah.
And I was going through my first ketogenic competition prep in 2017. So I just wanted to streamline all my nutrition meal prep needs, made the brick for my own personal use, was vlogging at the time because I was vlogging, my prep on YouTube, and people kept asking about it. And I just kind of wrote it off like, oh, it's just something I'm eating. Don't worry about it. You can't get it anywhere. But then people kept asking me for the recipe, asking where they could buy it. So my girlfriend at the time, wife now, we just decided to roll our sleeves up and make a food product business. That's what Keto Brick was. And I'm still doing all the coaching, all the content, all the, educational piece. But we also have the bricks as like a physical product that we sell.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think that's kind of what I gathered too, was it was a personal thing. And that's kind of like how everything starts, right? It's like, oh, I was personally
Mm-hmm.
doing this, or this is what transformed my life. Now let me turn it into something or other people enjoy as well.
Yeah, I mean, everything I do is like totally bootstrapped, organically grown out of a need to solve a problem. I mean, keto for me was not some dogmatic way to start coaching. It was like, hey, look, I had, really bad OCD. I had negative relationship with food, eating disorders, doing like bro diets and flexible dieting. I needed to find a solution to that. So I started doing keto and that worked. So I started bodybuilding with keto and that worked. And then Keto Brick was also formed out of my own need. And then we just grew it, man. Like my wife and I slept on a freaking warehouse floor for 3 years building the business. Like we just did what we had to do to make it work. And we've kept everything in house from the very beginning. Like I'm in my production studio now, but we've got our commercial kitchen behind that wall, and I got employees back there making bricks as we're talking right now.
I love that, bro. Yeah, that's awesome. And seeing how far it's come, because like I said, when I first started hearing about you and following your stuff, it was before all of that, and then you see someone who is able to do it in a passionate way as well. Because it wasn't just something like, oh, let me just do this to make a buck. It's, I'm doing this to actually help people. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. I really do. With you being keto as long as you have now, kind of getting into it early on, like have you stuck with it pretty strictly since the beginning, or have you like gone back and forth and tried other diets, or like where have you found the most success with it all?
Yeah. So I started with it and then I got away from it and then I've kind of circled back into it. And then there's the lifestyle method that I teach. I can kind of go into all of those.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Give me the details.
Yeah. So I opened the gym with it, was doing it myself for a really long time. But the reason it changed for me was one day my son and I, we go to Disneyland and he wants to, I'm thinking he's like, oh, we're going to ride this ride. We're going to do this. Well, the first thing he says is, Dad, let's have some ice cream. And that's fine, right? But before I could even say a word, his face goes blank and he's like, oh my gosh, Dad, I'm so sorry I forgot about your diet. Because for years I had been telling him, no, Dad can't. Dad's doing this thing. And I was like the strict of the strict. Like I was probably the people you see on social media now, but I just wasn't, doing that to people. I was doing it to whoever talked to me. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you're dumb if you have a carb. Your carbs are going to kill you. Like I was just on that end of it. Like I was super passionate about it. But then that day kind of changed everything for me. And I just remember getting back to the hotel and being like, man, something's got to change. Cause like I love keto for tons of reasons you've experienced, reasons I've experienced, which is low hunger, low cravings. It's easier for me to say no to things than it is to see how many I could fit in, right? Like I always tell
Mm-hmm.
people, I could track macros, but it's easier for me to say no to the chips than it is to see how many can I fit in. And then knowing that I'm going to want more later anyway.
Right.
Um, so I was like, I need to create a method that allows me to be a good dad, but also hit my weight loss goals when I have them. And so that's kind of how the method came about, where I was like, well, what if you could lose weight fast and keep your cravings low, keep your hunger low, but then what if you can also add some carbs back in? And so it kind of turned into like a cyclical approach. And then it turned into the lifestyle portion, which is having all the carbs that you choose to have. But here's what's funny is most of the people that I work with, we start with strict keto and then we start adding carbs back in. But most of them want to go back to keto because of either their gut health starts getting like crappy, or and I would even say most of them want to do the carnivore side of it. Like not even with
Mm-hmm.
the vegetables. They just want to, they experience what carnivore is like and how amazing they feel. But I also give them that flexibility of, if you want to have carbs, here's how to do it. Here's how to keep that blood sugar low. Here's how to keep your insulin levels low. And, if someone has type 2 diabetes, like I'll kind of, hey, I don't think you're ready for carbs yet. But that's kind of how the method was born. But before that, it was like, okay, let me try if it fits your macros. Let me try just calorie counting. Let me try, which is what most people are teaching now, is just protein and calories, right? Well, if you hit enough protein, you fill in the rest of your calories with whatever you want. And doing that will naturally keep your food whole foods. Not really, but that's kind of the gist of it. And then, so in that cycle, that's when I'm like creating this process of all this stuff sucks. Like I hate how I feel. I hate what's going on. Let me create something that makes the most sense. And then that's kind of how the lifestyle diet was born.
Nice, man. I like it. See, I can totally get behind that methodology. Like for me, I've been strict keto since I started way back when 2014,
Yep.
2015, because I've just felt so much better with it. But I always tell people, you got to figure out what's sustainable for you long term. And most people aren't aspiring to be like the best natural bodybuilder they can be. So
Yeah.
like, I don't need to hold them to that standard by any means. And I try to be very, I don't want to be dogmatic when it comes to nutrition. People get into these echo chambers, these information silos, and they just like are ruthless. I don't want to be like that. Like if you want to have the carbs, rock and roll, have the carbs. But I totally agree with you in that most of the people that I've worked with or know personally, they'll feel and experience the most benefits and results with keto. And the moment they try and like getting a little frisky and cycling things back in, it's like, man, my gut doesn't feel right, or I've got more cravings, or X, Y, or Z. And they're like, let's just kind of go back to home base there with keto.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I found too. But it's almost good for them to experience that, like to
Yeah.
realize how good they felt on low carb or no carb or keto, and really experience. So, like what I always recommend and what I personally typically do is if I'm in a cutting phase, that's when everything's strict. Like it's carnivore. Like I don't really have any vegetables because vegetables just destroy my gut anyway. So even when I do have carbs, it's usually like fruit or potatoes or something like that. Um, but I purposely have more carbs because I have to be able to eat all the food. Like if I'm trying to build muscle, I know that I could probably try to do it like you do with keto or carnivore, but it's hard, like to get all of the nutrition in that you need to try to build that muscle. But anytime someone exits a weight loss phase and then they come back, regardless, they always start in that keto or low carb phase. And like I said, most of them just want to stay there anyway because they're like, yeah, I
Yeah.
did that when I was reversing and now I don't like how I felt. So I'm just going to stick to the lower carb stuff.
Are you tracking your macros? Are you eating pretty intuitively with it all?
Right now, just intuitively. I've been feeling really good about it. I do what I call the wife test, where I just ask her like, "Hey, how am I looking?" And she'll tell me if I'm getting fat. She's very honest with me, so she'll tell me, "Yeah, you're looking a little bloated today, or you're looking a little fat today." And so as long as she says I'm looking good, I don't track my food. Now, if I'm starting to get away from it, then I do that. But most of my day, the way that I structure my carbs in the phase that I'm in right now is I eat mostly keto breakfast, lunch. So like the coffee, eggs, bacon, all that stuff. And then at nighttime is typically where I'll have the carbs because then I don't have all day to have like a blood sugar spike and a crash. And so that's kind of how I structure it.
So it's kind of like carb backloading then, pretty much
Exactly.
keto
That's
during the day
exactly
and then
what it's like.
backloading at night.
Yep.
Yeah. What, and you're doing like the potatoes and like more higher glycemic index. That's not a whole lot of, slower digesting carbs.
Yeah, mostly potatoes. I'm a potato fiend. If meat potatoes had a picture, it'd probably be me. So I like to keep it simple. That I do a little bit of rice every now and again. Sometimes I'll do like some Dave's Killer Bread, but those are like the main sources that I have.
And when you're dieting down, losing weight, are you keeping the carbs in then too, or do you take those out
I take them
typically?
out. I don't have as the nutrition gets lower and lower, I get hungrier and hungrier and moodier and moodier. So, but when I do, like I said, I don't even do the keto. I just do carnivore throughout. So like if I'm doing like a 8 to 12 week cut, then I'll just do strict carnivore because it makes it easy to go out to restaurants and be like, okay, well, I can't have that. Like this, I have to have the steak or, and the butter or whatever. It just makes it easy to stay away. And then how you feel. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if you experience this or not, but you're almost forcing yourself to have to eat when you're on carnivore. If you're tracking macros, right? If you're doing it intuitively, perfect. Like that's probably the best approach for you because you're just naturally full all day. But if you're
Yeah.
trying to hit a certain protein and fat ratio, and I think you said yours is like 1 to 1 or something like that, like protein to fat.
When I'm in a building phase, it's typically 1 to 1. I've got like a pretty significant protocol that I cycle through when I'm dieting down, but like when I'm just walking around, it's normally pretty close to 1 to 1.
Yeah. So that's typically what I stick around is, and if I find myself more hungry, I honestly just up my protein.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I stick to it. I'll lower the fat, keep the protein either the same or up it, and then I'm really full.
Yeah. 100%, man. How old's your son?
He's 11. He's 11.
11.
Yeah.
And he was part of the picture when you started the business, when you lost the weight, when you had the gym, like all that stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he was around for it all, and now I have two daughters, which I don't know, they might knock on the door like they're the police. So if you hear that, I apologize. But Yeah, he was around from the beginning. Even when I got the football scholarship, which brought me to Texas, he was through that, and it kind of sucks, and that's why I always feel bad. But I'm so grateful for him because he number one taught me how to be a better man, which is okay. I need to know how to be a better father because at the time I was just doing things for me. But then when he came into the picture, it's like I really need this scholarship because I was really trying to go pro, and I thought that was my destiny number one. Um, but then injuries happen and all that stuff, and it's like okay, well I got to find a way to provide for this little boy, and so you open the business. He sees the work ethic. He does all that stuff. Now he's super passionate about football and like is on the hardcore side. Like, yeah, Dad, you should have seen it. I almost killed the guy. Like, whoa. Um, but yeah, man, he was there through it all.
How old were you when you had him?
I was 19.
Man, that's crazy. I'd be super scared of having a kid at 19.
Terrified. I was more terrified of telling my grandpa, but he was super supportive, and he's like, well, guess you better get your degree, huh? Like, it's just always,
Yeah.
always bringing that up since I was, young. But yeah, I was scared, and I had a lot of figuring things out, and I still do. Like even with the girls, it's a completely different ballgame. Like it's one thing when you have a boy, and then you got
Yeah.
the girls, and I'm already stressing about when they're teenagers and they're 4 and 2. And I'm just like, man, I'm already thinking about 10 years from now and I got to fight all these boys off or whatever it is, or, get your brother to come move over here and handle business. But yeah,
How was 4 years old relative to 3 years old?
it doesn't get any easier. I think they just
Doesn't.
get more, manipulative, right? Like they'll, well, mommy said yes, right? And so you do what mommy said yes to, thinking, oh, well, if mommy said yes, and then next thing you know, mommy's coming around the corner and you're getting yelled at because mommy said no, right? So that's kind of the thing. And then her younger sister, like she's a carbon copy of what her big sister does. So I saw it not 5 minutes ago or before our podcast. Her sister opened a drawer, and so her little sister just, oh, I'm gonna open a drawer too. I'm like, why are you guys like that? Or if someone complains, then the other one complains. But yeah, they say terrible twos and then horrible threes. I don't think it stops. I think they just kind of get smarter and more intelligent on how to get what they want. But that's the biggest difference that I see.
Yeah, I got a son that just turned 3, and we got another one on the way
Yeah.
through this month. And it's like, man, it's the best thing in the whole wide world. Like I wouldn't trade it for anything, but he can test my temper sometimes for sure. And I try to like keep my cool, calm, and collected vibe going. But man, it's hard to not get frustrated when you can't reason with somebody because you can't really reason with
Yeah.
a 3-year old. They don't have rational thinking in place yet. So like you explain things to them and they just like repeatedly do what they're not supposed to do, but they know they're not supposed to,
Yeah.
but they can't like let the reason as to why sink in. So it's just like you're running through circles all day long.
Oh yeah, yeah. We have to break my daughter's attention all the time. Like she'll be doing whatever. Hey, Denver. Her name's Denver. Denver and Gracie. Denver's the 4-year-old. Gracie's the 2-year-old. But I'm like, hey, look at me. Look at me. Don't do it because if she's in play mode, she doesn't know how to stop. Like it's like
Yeah.
she'll still do it even though she knows she's not supposed to. So you almost have to, hey, look at me, break that attention, and then she might get it. But like you said, the trying to reason with them. I mean, good because it's why. And then you answer,
Mm-hmm.
it's well, why that? And then you answer, and it's why that. It's just consistently peeling back. They'd be great salespeople. They could probably sell you on anything.
Probably. Well, they're so cute at that age. Like you can't be mad at them no matter what. You can't really be mad at them. I mean,
Yeah.
you can be mad at what they're doing, but like then they look up at you and smile. And it's like you can't really be mad.
Yeah, you just you do the whole look away because you're laughing, but you're trying to be
Yep.
serious with them.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it's. I think it's the worst when it's your wife and you in the same room, and then they're talking to your wife, and they say something, and you're wanting to laugh, and then they look back real quick, and you have to try to hold the
Mm-hmm.
fort. But yeah, man, they're funny.
It's cool that you got the business done. I mean, that gives you time to spend with them, and like you never with business, like it never stops. Like you go home, you bring it home, you bring it with you everywhere. It never stops. You got to like compartmentalize things, which is easier said than done. But I feel like I hope at least that having a business and seeing like your kids being able to see you work on something that you're passionate about, that's not just you clocking out at 5 o'clock working for the man. That's going to pay dividends in ways that we won't even recognize until long after they've grown up and left the house, you know?
Yeah, and that's, I know I talk about my grandpa giving me crap, but that's what I learned from him was, he did have an 8 to 5, but he also, if there was stuff that needed to be done, he wasn't just, oh, it's 5 o'clock, time to clock out. Like, no, you stayed until you got the job done, right? Whether it's midnight and he has to be up at 5, like, you don't stop. But the one thing I always took away was he always took the time to at least acknowledge me or play with me or like whatever it was. He always took the time, no matter how late it was, breaks, lunches. Maybe it was just putting me to bed, right? He made sure to do that. So even for my kids, I've been in a big transition period in my business of like, what do I actually want this to look like? Because it was turning into that where I didn't have any time with my kids. And it's like I'm doing what I did with my son over and over. And, the thing that always sticks with me is he was visiting, I think it was like 2 summers ago. And his sister was doing something and he goes, "Hey dad, did I used to do that?" And I told him I don't know. And that breaks me because I should know, but I was never there because I was always chasing the next thing. And it's like the same thing in business. Like I love doing it, but now it's like, how can I get them involved? And how can I make them part of the business? How can we, record videos together or whatever it is, just making them part of it versus no, daddy's working and that's it. So kind of to your point, having an at-home office where, leaving the door open. If it's like stuff I have to get done and like calls or whatever, okay, door shut. But if I'm doing whatever the normal stuff is, leave the door open, let them draw on the whiteboard, just, pretend they're working on my laptop, just trying to keep them involved so that I don't miss them growing up. Because as you know, probably with your 3-year-old, that stuff goes quick. Like it was just yesterday. You look at old pictures and
Mm-hmm.
you like, when did you get this big? Like you used to be like this, and it goes so fast. And that's the thing that, I think a lot of business owners struggle with is we're always focused on the next thing. And that's something I'm trying to get better at, where it's like, okay, how do I have this goal, but what do I ultimately want that goal for? Is it to separate from my spouse? Is it to spend less time with my kids? Well, no. So it's like, yeah, I could chase the multi-millions of dollars and that's cool, but I would take a pay cut to be able to spend time with them, So it's kind of yin and yang and how you look at it.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, man. I mean, before I had the kiddo, it was like I could be selfish. I could really just grind. I mean, I would, my wife and I've always been close, but like I could justify for right or wrong, like closing the door behind me and just like not giving her any attention. Definitely wrong, but I would do that and I wouldn't feel too bad because she was her own person and is self sufficient, independent. But like with a kid, you can't really do that and feel good about it. So I've had to really try and figure out how to change my workflow. And like what we've been doing lately is all leave at 4 o'clock on 3 days a week so my wife can come up here and work out with one of my employees. And then I'll just watch my son while she does that. So he and I are getting a lot more time in the afternoons while it's still light outside. And we'll mow the grass together or whatever. But like, it's interesting because with business, there's always fires to fight. There's always goals and aspirations. There's always another obstacle, hurdle, or thing. But like, as you said, what is it all worth? Like, what are you doing all this for in the first place? And on my deathbed, I'm not going to be worried about that invoice due next week or, a bunch of ingredients that didn't come in or an employee I'm frustrated with. But I will think about all those moments with my kids. And like, that's what matters. Like the relationships that we have in life is all that matters. So anything that distracts from that, you gotta figure out how to not let it distract from that to a catastrophic degree.
100%. And that's like I talked about the transition period with my business. It's like that's really what I had to look at. And I've realized something about me is that I've always been a better entrepreneur than an entrepreneur. Like when I'm in entrepreneur mode and having to worry about the invoices and the sales, like anything that's outside of coaching, that's where I would tend to struggle. And that's where, it brings I don't remember what my wife calls it, but the Joe that I'm not supposed to be is kind of what comes out because I'm not living what I truly love to do. Like I didn't get in this to run invoices. I didn't get in this to, worry about my income. It's like I got in this to change lives. And anytime I'm away from that, it projects down. And that's kind of where it gets
Hmm.
iffy because it's like you want to be the best parent, the best dad, the best mom, but you also have to have the ability to control your state. And so as an entrepreneur, like, okay, what are we doing to control our state and how are we making sure that when we walk out of this door, when we walk out of that office, that whatever we're feeling doesn't project down to them because even though they're young and we think that they're not feeling it, they know when dad's not in a good mood. They know when mom's not in a good mood. And it's the same thing on the health side. And this is why I always
Hmm.
tell my clients, like, weight loss is a kind of a lot like running a business. There's massive highs and there's massive lows. But at the same time, you have to know why you want what you want because when the going gets tough, and it will get tough, chips are good, cakes are good, you have to know what is it that you actually want from the weight loss that you desire. And it could be something of discovering, man, I realize that when I get home, I haven't played with my kids in a year because I'm always so tired. Well, think about how powerful that is when you don't feel like showing up and you don't feel like eating right. You're going to do it because you know that you haven't been playing with your kids and they deserve that. Now, on the business side, what are the things that you need to do to get what you want, but why do you actually want that? Like I talk to business owners all the time and everyone always says the magic $1 million. I want to make $1 million. But then when you ask them why they want that, they don't know. And then you ask them, well, what are you willing to give up in order to get that? And they don't know that answer either because there's gonna be a sacrifice. Your relationship could suffer. So your kids' relationship could suffer. You can miss birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, get-togethers. So why is it that you want what you want? Because most of us didn't get into business to then hate our life. We got into business so
Hmm.
that we could do what we love and love our life,
100%, man. And I feel like a lot of people in business, they, I feel like we're very fortunate because our business is built on the backbone of like health, nutrition, and
Mhm.
activity. So like you as a billboard for your company, like you have to maintain a certain degree of health and nutrition
Yeah.
and, reasonable composition. Whereas like a lot of people where that's totally removed, like they just totally sacrifice their health to build the business. And we kind of built that in. So like you can't really just get too far away from, home base because that is your business to
Yeah.
some extent, which is good. But yeah, man, like, it's like anything that draws your attention, you can take it to the unhealthy level, especially when it's, impacting your kids, family, and loved ones negatively. But yeah, man, I don't like the word balance. Like I've never really liked the word balance, but I think there's very much so a yin and yang to it. And just like with bodybuilding, like I had a client call early this morning and this individual had like been dieting down for far too long. They were eating like 1,600 calories and they need to be around 3,000 as a maintenance calories. And it's like, you've been at, 1,600 calories for the better part of the year and you're wondering why you've plateaued. It's like, you got to have a yin and yang to that too. You've got to have a period of time where you're eating at a caloric surplus or at least a maintenance, given your metabolic rate and hormones a breather.
Yep.
And the by allowing your body and yourself time to do that, you're going to be more optimized to transition to that fat loss phase at some point in the future. So it's a yin and yang spectrum there. The better you do one, the better the other is going to respond, afterwards. And same is true with everything in life, man. Like you have to have that cyclical high and low, point of focus, but blend itself between the two.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so relatable to life. And like once people actually start their weight loss journey and they get into it, they really start to realize how similar this is to life. And like, you do need moments to kind of just relax. You do need moments to just take that breather and not go so hard all the time, or not try to be a perfectionist. And but getting that across to somebody is probably the hardest conversations that you have, that I have, where it's like, you can push for so long, but eventually there's going to be a point of diminishing returns, and things are just going to get worse. And even personally, that's something. I don't like the word body dysmorphia, because I think it's kind of been blown out of context now. But like, for me, it seemed that no matter how much progress I would make, I still got that jelly roll, is what I call it, right? Like, it's that last little part that just doesn't want to leave, forming abs up top, but that last little jelly roll. But what's crazy is, now that I've just decided, you know what? I'm not going to do weight loss. And I'm not going to do it for, I'm not even putting a time frame on it. Like, normally I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do 12 weeks maintenance, maybe a surplus, and I'm going to get back into it. Now I'm just like, I'm going to go until I don't look good. And so it's like, my strength has gone up, my metabolism's gone up, my body started looking better, all because I actually took time to just relax and give myself a break. And I think when people can do that in their everyday life, it makes a difference too.
Yeah, I mean, stress is no joke, man. Like, I don't sleep enough as it is, and like, I've never had high testosterone, but like, so much of that is because I'm stressed with the business and lack of sleep. But like, if you're stressing about wanting to lose those last 10 pounds, that just becomes your fixation, and that's just you're just overly obsessed with it. Like, it's gonna make it harder to lose that last 10 pounds because you're gonna have higher cortisol. Your hormones are gonna be down regulated. You're just gonna be fixated on that thing. Whereas, like, if you just let go, like, have this surrendering to it, that's when the magic happens.
Yep, 100%.
How do you treat your kids when it comes to like nutrition and stuff, knowing what all you know now and having worked with clients? Like, how do you navigate those waters?
It's tough, especially because they do go to school, a couple days a week, and so it's always tough. But really, what we try to look at is just the quality of ingredients that are in the food. So they don't eat keto or anything like that, but it's more so, of course, watching the dyes that are in the food, because and what's crazy is, some people, I know that it's a controversial topic these days, but I think if you have a kid where you can see the differences, you really see what type of impact food has on you. And so, I forgot what it was, but everyone thinks it's just sugar, but the dyes that are in it too. And I forgot what we gave my daughter, but it had, I think my wife was telling me, it's either blue or red, one of the ones that make you hyperactive. And
Hmm.
she would not sleep. She was like, she'd be falling asleep, but then she would like twitch herself awake. She was very ornery. And it's like, that just clarified, man, when people have certain ingredients, it can really mess with the way that they operate. And when we don't have those things, she falls asleep easier. She's a better kid. She doesn't, cause havoc all day. And so what we try to do is, okay, instead of having the enriched stuff, let's just have the whole food stuff. Instead of, buying all the frozen food, let's try to make it as much home based food as we can. And if we do buy the frozen food, let's make sure we look at the ingredients and see what's in there, so we're not just pumping our kids full of all this processed stuff. That's kind of the approach that we take.
Yeah, I think that's key, man. Like, if people, like, not just kids but everybody, if we just simply ate more whole
Yeah.
foods, like, the world would be a better place. Like, people, I mean, you can get as granular and deep into it as you want, macro distributions, percentages, ratios, all that stuff, and I'm all for it. I love experimenting, but like, if we just simply ate whole foods, the world would definitely be in a healthier position.
Yeah, I have people all the time. I can't afford coaching, but what do I do? And I tell them what they probably don't like to hear, which is, you just start eating whole foods, like, minimize your
Yeah.
sugar intake. And it's not so much, obviously we know the effects of sugar, and I know the sugar diet people are going to hate that, but it's more so of the blood sugar responses, right? The spikes and the drops, and that's where all the cravings, that's where all the hunger comes in. And it's like, how do we minimize that as much as possible? That gives you a winning chance. And then you go into, okay, now I'm going to eat whole real food. Well, what's a real whole food? Single ingredient foods, right? Beef is beef, eggs are eggs. Like, we don't have to get super crazy. If you look at the back of something and it has 5,000 ingredients in there, probably shouldn't eat it. And then keep it simple. And then when you're ready to optimize it and really, like, okay, dial it in. Yeah, let's add in some macros. Let's add in some calories. Let's maybe look at meal timing or whatever the person's scenario is. But I think we've gotten so far removed from the basics. And that's why I've never really liked the whole calories in, calories out thing, is because you have people who will tell you a calorie is a calorie. And okay, I understand that. But to say that 600 calories of steak is the same as 600 calories from a piece of candy, it's not realistic. Like there's so many different body responses and people need to understand that, right? So without the
Yeah.
advice I always give is without counting calories, without counting macros, without doing intermittent fasting, just clean up your food. Just start eating whole real foods. And then from there start focusing on a structure that keeps your blood sugars low and your insulin levels low. And then from there start worrying about the bigger stuff.
Yeah, the calories thing. I mean, calories obviously matter. Like I could eat, 10,000 calories, nothing but ribeyes every single day, and I would get fat
Yeah.
still. But like the big proponents for the calories in, calories out equation, they don't ever tell the second half of the equation, which is, yeah, the calories you consume. That's a unit of measurement, and that unit of measurement is the same as a measurement across the different food groups. But how those different foods, how the sugar is metabolized versus that of the steak is going to be vastly different. So the caloric expenditure that results from that is going to be different between the two, and like people don't take the time to hear that and understand it because it's not as easily placed on an Instagram soundbite or TikTok video, which is frustrating.
Yeah, it's not as sexy, and I've always said that people in the keto or the low carb space, we have one of the hardest jobs because most of us are trying to get somebody to completely change their life, right? Like it's one thing if you sell protein and calories, right? It's like, or the sexy one is fix your relationship with food, but they're never talking about real food. They're talking about junk food. That's not food, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Now, do you want to have a lifestyle where you can incorporate those things? Awesome. But let's fix the root of the problem and then start to worry about that other stuff. Because
100%.
if we're just focused on calories and macros all day, but we still eat like crap, well, then you have those people who are like, well, I'm eating 1,200 calories a day, but I'm not making much progress and I'm always hungry. Well, what is that food actually made out of? Because, yeah, you can starve yourself thin, but is that the route that you really want to take? And so I'm
Yeah.
a big root guy on the mindset side of things, on the physical body side of things. It's what's the root of the problem, and let's attack that, and then everything else is going to take place.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. Well, what's on the horizon for you with the business shift and everything you get going with the kiddos? Like, what's got you excited?
Yeah, man. As weird as this sounds, um, on the business side of things, I don't really know if I want to operate a business anymore. And I know that's
Yeah.
kind of like out of left field, but kind of like I was telling you, like I love my clients. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I'm going to have some listen to this, but I've been pretty open, and I've always enjoyed coaching, but haven't really enjoyed operating a business. Um, so how do I do that? I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. But you know, what kind of gets me excited is taking care of the people that are already underneath me, but then
Hmm.
growing inside of another company, which might be happening, might not be. But have you heard of the Nutritional Coaching Institute?
Yeah. I don't know much about it, but I am familiar with him.
Yeah. So working with them, and what's crazy about it is I've kind of started doing some stuff with them, and that's what I got certified by. It's what I've been a product of for a long time. Like every success that I've had in my online business has been because of what's offered there. And I was at an event this weekend, and I was looking at the coaches in the room, and I was like, man, I was in that exact seat. You feel lost. You either are getting this certification or you have the certification. You don't even know how to grow your business, and just being in that role and helping people do that. But the beautiful thing about it is now I get to take my mistakes on the business side. Like one of them, super simple, uh, over hiring, right? You get to a point in your business where you just, oh, I don't want to do anything, because all the gurus are telling you get out of your business, focus on the business, not in the business. And that's cool. Some people love that. But for me, it was just like, okay, well, hire this person, hire that person, hire that person. And then before you know it, yeah, sure, you're making revenue, but you're not taking home anything. And your
Mm-hmm.
employees are over there balling, right? They're talking about
Mm-hmm.
paying off credit cards. They're talking about doing this. They have new cars. And that's awesome. I love that for them. Like, I'm so happy and so grateful that I got to be part of that, because there's no better feeling. Like, it's one thing with your clients, but when you have someone that's working for you and you provide them a life, oh my gosh, what a feeling. But then there's the other side of it where, well, what about my kids? What about my family? I got to take care of me too. And that's kind of the big mistake that I made, was overhiring. So, but yeah, what's kind of got me excited is I still do the business stuff, operating it. But what's got me excited is the opportunity that I might have with that company.
That's super awesome, man. What would you know on that?
I mean, I'm already part of it. It's just now kind of filling out, where am I going to be the best fit? Is it helping people get certified? Is it helping people grow their online business, which I think is kind of the direction that it's headed in? Because that's one thing I was really good at, was growing my business, but I also was not good at loving the business side of it. So it's like, okay, well, how do we
Mm-hmm.
navigate that? Well, here's some things. Like, a lady asked me, she's like, I'd love to know what it took to get your company to 7 figures. And I'm like, well, I could tell you all that stuff, but I think what's more valuable to you is all the stuff that happened when I got to the 7 figures. Because most
Mm-hmm.
people don't think about that side. They don't think about the revenue versus profit, or not setting aside money, or maybe you're doing paid in fulls for your business, so you think, oh, I made $10,000. Well, what about next month? So it's like all these other pieces of business that people don't think about, where I think I could be a real asset of what not to do, but also then give them, hey, here's the playbook of how I did it, and how I can see you growing it, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. Like business, I love business just like I love nutrition and fitness. It's like you're playing
Yeah.
chess. How do you want to play? What moves do you want to make? How do you want to be strategic here? What are the tactics involved? And I mean, it's a game for sure, man. But like, it's a fun game to play as long as you are. I don't know, as long as you're vested in what it is you're building. Like a lot of people have a business. Like one of my friends built a business and he hated it, every part of it. And then it went under because he didn't have the staying power to see through the hard times. But it's like, there's going to be sleepless nights. There's going to be hard days. There's going to be times where you wake up with a panic attack. But like, as you said, as you pointed out, it's like, what's the underlying root reason for why you're doing all this in the first place? And if that is constantly in alignment and you can see the trajectory of how you're going through this day-to-day action to reach that goal, then you're on the right track. But if not, then you just got to like be honest and be self-aware and have a heart to heart with yourself and figure out where you want to go going
Yeah,
forward.
and that's, going back to what we talked about a little earlier, is why are you doing what you do? And it's like, okay, what's the end game here? And one of
Mm-hmm.
the, one of the things that I've always hated was having to find new people, because in nutrition and health, if you do your job right, which, if you're good at what you do it right, people are with you for 3 months to a year, and then they're gone. Right. Well, I'm a very connection based person. I love to hold relationships, like people that have been working with me since the gym days. We still stay in contact. Like, that's what I love. And when I don't get to create that, it kind of sucks, or it's just come and go, come and go, come and go. And that's cool, because that means I'm good at what I do. But at the same time, it's not super fulfilling. And so I just had to take
Yeah.
a step back. And I was telling even my clients, because I'm open about pretty much everything, not like, oh, I'm going to shut it down, because I have no plans to shut it down. It's just more so of, what's my next step? Like, where do I want to go from here? And really just taking that time to reflect and, like, okay, what do I love about what I do? And what do I hate about what I do? And what can I do to get away from the things that I hate and do more of what I love? And it's like, okay, well, if I can find a way to simply coach people, but not have to worry about the business side of things, okay, let's start working on that. And if I could help other coaches either get certified or grow their business, well, now I'm part of their mission. And there's no better feeling than when we were at this event and people who have signed up for the certifications and all those things are coming up and thanking us because of the life that they've been able to create, and so that's kind of what excites me is, you also get to see the side of the coaches that they don't want to go viral, right? Like the ones that are certified and all that, they don't really want to go viral. So it's like, well, how do we grow your business and not go viral? And when we get to do that, it's super rewarding.
Yeah. No, it's awesome, man. We definitely need to link up,
Yeah.
get a lift in, have a cup of coffee, eat a steak, all that good
Love it.
stuff. So let's make that happen for sure, man. Where do you point people to right now as far as websites and stuff go?
I just either send them to, I don't have a website. I just either send them to my Facebook, which I'm always doing like free workshops and stuff. So like this next one I'm doing, depending on when this comes out, is how to overcome nighttime cravings. And so I just go live and talk shop. And so they could either follow me at KLD Coach Joe on Instagram, or they can find me Joe Harris on Facebook.
What's your one tip for fighting nighttime cravings?
Really is understanding our dopamine response and really letting the people know why they do it in the first place, because most of them think that it's a them problem and that they're just broken and that they're weak, lazy, and whatever they tell themselves. But in reality, it's because by the time they get to the end of their day, their dopamine stores are so low that the only thing they know how to make themselves feel good with is food. And so how do we navigate that? How do we find things that can give us some dopamine? So one tip, and there's like a couple, but depending on the person, is some people are connection based. And so their dopamine stores get filled when they connect with somebody, right? They're not lonely. And that's the one thing for me personally that I've realized is when you're the owner of the business, it's lonely. Like you don't really have people who understand what you're going through for the most part, right? And so it's very lonely at the top, so they say. Whereas me, I've always thrived in a team environment, but not when I've been the leader of the team, right? When I was that
Hmm.
person who, all right, coach, you tell me what to do. I'm going to go out and I'm going to implement it. Like, this is what we're going to do, studying everything. But that hasn't been it. So, what is that thing that's going to fill your dopamine cup? So, for me, it's the workshops. Like, I love presenting to people, I love teaching people things, and I love coaching them. That's what fills my cup. So, maybe for that person, it's, hey, I'm going to get on a phone call with somebody that I love. And so you fill that dopamine cup. Maybe for another person, it's, I'm going to get home from work and I'm going to either go on a run or go on a walk and fill it that way. But I'm not going to listen to a podcast or music that brings me down. I'm going to listen to some Bruce Springsteen, which reminds me of this time of my life. And it was a great time. Just little things like that.
No, I love it, man. I love the psychological component to it because it's all
Yeah.
psychological, and people try and remove body and brain, but it's like your brain is part of your body. You can't really tease that out.
Yeah, I mean, online we have to sell weight loss, but in reality, when people come into the ecosystem, I'm like, I got to fix your mind because that's how I fix your body. Because no matter how
Yeah,
much success you have, it really does not matter how many pounds you lose. If this wasn't fixed in the process, if you didn't change who you were and you only changed what you did, the results aren't going to last because you're still the person you've always been. You just did something a little different. So how do we get that person to change who they are? And that's why it's like, okay, like, yeah, I sold you with weight loss, but now I'm going to get you in and I'm going to change your mind so that you not only lose the weight, but it's something that lasts forever.
yeah, 100%, man. You're fighting a good fight, Joe. I appreciate you,
I
brother.
appreciate it.
I'll definitely link out, make it easy for people to find you, and let's keep the conversation going, man. I mean, with us being practically
Yeah.
neighbors, let's definitely link up and meet in person for sure.
Sounds good to me.
I'll be coming to you for tips on how to wrangle those 2 and 4 year olds when my kids are 2 and 4.
I got you covered, man. I'll probably have more pooping out pretty soon too. So yeah.
Awesome, man. We'll keep killing it,
All right.
brother.
I appreciate you.
See you, Joe.